Yesterday, we showed you a video that was praised as being the best interview Pierre Poilievre ever given, but it wasn't. But you know what? I think I found it. My name is Nico Lagan, and I'm too conservative for the conservatives. My co-host Rob Ambrose, not woke enough for the liberals. We are the political orphans. Tonight on the show, we're going to be speaking about the best speech Pierre Poilievre has ever given. We're going to show you the woke Toronto Remembrance Day ceremony that took place yesterday and the reception that Chris d'Entremont, the conservative MP who defected to the liberal, received yesterday in his own writing. The main goal of the show is simple. We want to promote civil discourse. So it doesn't matter if you're a leftist, you're a rightist, you're somewhere in the middle. You agree, you disagree with us. We want to hear from you. So join the conversation and drop us a comment right there below and tell us what you think. What's going on, brother?
Nothing, brother. But yeah, we'll get right into it.
Yeah, well, we should. We've been better at this. We are no longer fucking around.
Not dicking around for the first 20 minutes or so. Just jumping right
into
it.
Talking about our days. Yes. So, you know what? Yesterday, for the people that weren't there, I showed a video from Pierre Poilievre. We always kind of rip into him for being meh. Like he's never very enthusiastic about anything. He's not, you don't listen to one of his speech and be like, oh, bro.
Yeah.
He's not a great orator. No.
Sure.
He's a good politician. He likes to politic, but he is not a great orator. And yesterday I was showing a video that had been praised by some of the big conservatives, influencers in Canada as being firing from all barrels, like it was crushing the reporters. And we kind of agreed that was not the case. But you know what, man? I like to rip into Pierre Poilievre anytime I get, but I will give credit where credit is due. I found one today and I was like, goddamn, Pierre Poilievre, I don't know what the fuck he ate today. I don't know if his wife gave him something he hadn't got in a long time. Something happened because...
Wheaties for breakfast?
Bro, listen to this. This has to be, and again, it saddens me a bit to have to admit this, but this has to be about the best speech I've ever heard from him. And I can only imagine if he would have had the balls to talk like that during the election, if he wouldn't be prime minister today. So listen to this.
Is to cut.
Oh, hold on. I don't know why.
Our proposal is to cut bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, corporate welfare, handouts to phony refugees, and other wasted money so we can bring down debt, taxes, and inflation. We would get rid of the industrial carbon tax to unlock the industrial engine of our nation and to reduce the price of everything made with steel, aluminum, cement, concrete, glass. That is everything that we buy. We will cap government spending for a dollar for dollar law, requiring we find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending. We'll make this the fastest place on earth to get a building permit, repeal the anti-energy laws, use the powers in C5 to rapidly approve a pipeline to the Pacific so we can get 1 million barrels of oil to Asia every single day. We will get rid of the capital gains tax.
Who is this guy, and what has he done with Pierre Poilievre?
Canada to bring home the $500 billion of net investment that Mark Carney and the Liberals have sent fleeing to the United States of America. We will cut income tax so hard work pays off. We will get rid of all home building taxes, not only to provide affordable homes to the next generation, but also to bring back the 100,000 trades jobs so carpenters can swing hammers, framers can frame homes, loggers can harvest lumber, and we can build a tariff-proof industry back to life in this country. That is how we restore the promise that I enjoyed as a young Calgary.
He got through all this. He got through all the talking points. You can see he's like relieved there.
This country, the opportunity that we had, we're going to have opportunity and freedom for our youth, home ownership for our families, and of course, security for our wonderful seniors. That is our vision, our hopeful future, and now let's get it done.
Okay, yeah, wow. I mean,
I will say this,
You
like
go
Wilf
first.
Alcog, I don't buy this bullshit. I don't buy it either, but he actually sounded okay. If that was to somebody that does not know, that's not politically savvy the way that we are, that we're always talking about this every single day, that is not extremely biased the way that I am towards him,
Yep.
that was actually a good speech. That was actually not bad. That was the best. That's the best I've ever heard from him.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny because, you know, one of the kind of running jokes that we say here, and it's a joke, but I think we're a little bit, you know, it's a little bit of like, well, but kind of maybe a little bit serious behind it, is that maybe this guy is watching this show, or is his advisor watching the show, because we'll often say things that he then does, or we'll say things, oh, Poilievre should do this, and then a week later he does it. As I listened to that, that sounded very much like some of the criticisms and some of the things that we say that this guy should say. And not just, it's a change in substance, but also a change in style. You know, one of the things we rip on this guy for is that he talks in slogans, right? He says what he's going to do. We're going to do this. We're going to, but here he says how he's going to do it, right? Instead of saying we're going to make Canada more affordable, which is a kind of slogans that he usually speaks in, which is also vague. Now he's saying how we're going to make Canada more affordable, how we're going to, instead of saying we're going to boost the economy, he's saying how we're going to boost the economy. He mentioned, you know, getting pipeline capacity to the Pacific coast, specifically something that we mentioned here. So again, yeah, maybe we don't deserve it, but we're going to pat ourselves in the back a little bit here because, I mean, it sounds exactly like what you'd want to hear from Poilievre. I think if you're either a conservative or, you know, wanting the Liberal Party to, you know, you think they've had their shot and now it's time to give the Conservatives a shot. I don't know. I liked it. I like to hear it, and I hear what what's his name, what Wilf says, and you say don't buy the bullshit. Yeah, I get that sentiment, but at some point, like, you just have to you can sit here and say no matter what someone says, you'd be like, oh, it's bullshit, it's bullshit, it's bullshit. But at some point, you got to just go believe somebody when they say something. I don't believe he's lying here, mostly because he doesn't like. I don't think he firmly believes this stuff either. And it doesn't really matter if he truly believes it. All that matters is if he does it. And if he has somehow stumbled upon, maybe he's got a good advisor now who's telling him what the issues are that Canadians care about. Because this seems like a pretty good grasp of a lot of the solutions to some of the problems here. You know, he talked about how to deal with immigration. He specifically said, you know, that's another example. Like in the past, he might have sloganeered by saying, we're going to bring down illegal immigration. But here he specifically said something about fraudulent asylum claims, right? That's a specific
cutting
issue.
The funds. Yep.
Yeah. So it seems to me a shift, not just in substance, but also in style in a way that's important because he's gone from vague sloganeering to more specific sloganeering, which is still sloganeering, but at least it's telling us that he does understand what the problem is. You could say something like, we're going to fix the immigration system, but that doesn't really tell us that you really understand the problem, right? But when you say things like, we're going to cut down on fraudulent asylum claims, now you're thinking, okay, this guy actually does have a handle on what the issue is here. So, you know, I thought it was a good speech. You know, I credit where it's due. I think he... you know, Will says, what's your point? He's a fucking salesman. Half of what he said, PPC has already said. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, most mainstream political parties, anytime they get a popular position, it comes from a more extreme party, right? Once it becomes a more palatable position, they just steal it from them. And it is what it is. That's just how it works. At the end of the day, I don't really care if it's the fucking Green Party that implements these policies, as long as they get implemented. Now that he's kind of specifically laid it out there, if he then goes back on that, then it's free season on him. It's open season. But I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt in this spot and see what he says.
You know, the only reason I showed the video is not because I believe him, is not because I have a newfound affection or likeness for him.
Yep.
I just found his best interview. That's it.
Yep.
Because yesterday I showed you the video that was sold as being the best, and I'm like, come on, it was nothing special. But this, I'm like, damn, what happened to you yesterday, this morning? And there's 2 comments. My 2 cents is saying he probably had an apple, sir. And Sylvie is saying, I think he probably got laid last night. That was basically what I said. There,
He had
or
something. He's got some.
he discovered pre-workout powders.
yeah. He's he's definitely got some extra oomph in his step. But it's a welcome change.
Way too late. He should have been speaking like that. He should have been speaking like that during his campaign almost 8 months ago.
Sure.
It was just funny.
Also,
I just found it funny and ironic because if I had to pick his best speech I've heard from him, that probably is that one right there. That's it. That's all.
Yeah. Me too. And like I said, maybe it represents a shift in, maybe he's got a new advisor behind the scenes or something, which would be a good thing. At the end of the day, these guys are only as good as the people whose advice they take. So, I'm sure, people will be like, oh, well, talk is cheap. Yeah, it is. But at least he's saying the right things. And of course, if this is just one more speech and then he goes on to talk about something else, the next one, and he never talks about this stuff again, then obviously, yeah, it's open season on this guy. But it sounds to me like he a newfound focus. It sounds like he's going to start hammering on some of these points. And remember, one of the things another one of the criticisms was, maybe the policies specifically, but the way he's messaging those policies. Rather than try to talk about a million different topics, pick the 4 or 5 that you think are the most, the biggest issues, and hammer those every single time you have a microphone in front of you. So we'll see if he does this.
Bob, Nico, why does it bother you? We have an experienced politician because he's a crook. Politicians are crooks. Politicians should not be a career. You should not be looking to be in politics for the rest of your life. You should also not becoming more rich on people's backs. How is Pierre Poilievre? Pierre Poilievre, some people estimate his bank account to be somewhere close to $20 million. How the fuck does a guy that makes 250 grand a year as a politician is worth $20 million? Why is it that most politicians out there are worth more money than they should? That's always a problem. To me, public service is supposed to be a service. It's supposed to cost you something. Remember Damien Keurig, I think was the name of the guy that stepped down to give his spot to Pierre Poilievre. He runs a business. If I'm not mistaken, he has a ranch of some type. He has a farm that he runs. Him becoming a politician, chances are, takes him away from his business, and he has to replace himself by somebody else to do that. That, to me, I said this from the get-go. If I had a choice for my riding, would I want a guy like Pierre Poilievre? No, I wouldn't. But would I want a guy like Damien Keurig? Maybe that's just a regular dude that owns a business that's actually in that riding. That's the person I would choose because he speaks to me more as somebody that runs a business, that's somebody that's self-employed, right? And that's what's missing. You shouldn't be getting rich on taxpayers' back. And that's what I don't like. And you know what? There's not one politician out there that I did not vote at the last elections because every single party leader out there are all lifelong politicians, and I can't vote for that. I just can't. But it has nothing to do with feelings. That's a fucking fact. When you're in public service, it should cost you something. You should be there to serve others, not to get rich. It's pretty fucking simple. Yeah, that's how I see it. Career politicians bother the shit out of me because they're there to keep their jobs. You cannot tell me that Poilievre, as the opposition leader, really wants to be PM. He had all the cards in his hands to become PM. He chose not to. He had the perfect blueprint in the South. The same thing that happened to Pierre Poilievre having Trudeau replaced by Carney, the same thing happened to Trump in the US. His candidate got replaced. He pivoted. He did something different and he fucking won. Pierre Poilievre had the blueprint available to him to do it. He could have crushed that fucking budget last week. So he can talk tough all he wants today, saying that he wants to do what's best for Canadians. He had that chance to do it last Friday by aligning with the Bloc and voting yes to the amendments to the Bloc because the NDP and the Green Party voted yes. So he would have shut down, dissolved government, and we would have a new fucking election right now for Christmas. He had all the chances. He keeps on having chances after chances after chances of doing the right thing, of doing what's best for Canada. So he can tell me all he wants in his fucking speech, like I just showed you, to make it sound urgent, like he's going to do the right thing, that Canadians are hurting. He's not hurting. And if he really did care, he would have become prime minister. At least he would have tried hard. He never has. He's never really fucking tried. What type of bullshit marketing is it to say, costly election, we need an affordable budget, not a costly election? What's more costly? $600 million for a new election, or $78 fucking billion deficit, or $72 billion deficit? I don't know for you, but I'll take the 600 million new election over a $78 billion deficit that my son's gonna pay for still when he's an adult. So at the end of the day, man, this is my point. He's there. He's very comfortable in his opposition job, and he doesn't really care. He's getting paid, and chances are in January he's gonna stay the leader because there's nobody to replace him on the Conservative Party right now. So
yeah. He's almost certainly going to stay the leader. The only way he wouldn't is if maybe if they lose enough MPs that Carney gets a majority. But I mean, I don't know. I see you think about, like, on the one hand, yeah, it looks like weakness for him to not, you want your leader to go to expect to win every single time and to want to win. But to me, I mean, I think he's just making a strategic decision. We've talked about before. I think he should have gone with an election. But
yep.
If he thinks that an election is going to give the Liberals a majority, it makes sense to me that he wouldn't want to push an election. But then, why?
But they're going to get it, they're going to steal it no matter what. We're seeing it happening right now.
Well, yeah, that was our argument.
So,
a couple days ago was they're probably going to get a majority, and if you don't have an election, just from the shenanigans they're pulling. So I think that it would be better to trigger one and then have a shot at winning. But again, that's a judgment call, right? Like it is. I disagree with them, but at the end of the day, politicians are going to have to do what they think is going to do best for them to help them win. The one thing that, like, even if you didn't think you were gonna, if you knew you weren't going to trigger an election, though, why would you get up in front of Parliament last week and say all that shit about, if it's costly budget, if it makes life more affordable for Canadians or more unaffordable, we can't pass it. Because now, if they pass it, he's implicitly saying that, it is an affordable budget. He's basically giving it what's the word? Like a seal of approval. Yep. A lot of this is our own goals. He didn't need to get up and say that shit.
I will always go back to the same thing. If somebody is going to be my leader, I want to trust them in a situation of war. Am I going to follow a guy into battle? Can he lead me into battle? That's what I look for a leader. I look for somebody that's going to stand up when everybody else is too scared to do so. That's who I look for. This is what I want from a leader. That's not him. There's nobody right now in politics in Canada that I see as a leader that will stand up when chips are really down.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. And I think it's perfectly reasonable to have your favorites and to say, I don't like this guy. But at the end of the day, I don't know. You still have to play the cards that are dealt, right? Like, it's one thing. You can't just sit there and say, well, I'm not going to even participate because I don't like this guy. Like, cause all that happens then is everyone else still participates. The system gets picked. And you're just kind of sitting there on the outside, sucking your thumb while people like Mark Carney get elected again with majorities. It's completely valid to criticize Poilievre or any leader, but I think you still gotta play within the framework of the game that's in front of us, or play the cards that are dealt. Right now, the cards that are dealt are Carney, Poilievre, you know, the NDP guy and the Bloc or whatnot. So I don't know. I mean, I think I hear the criticism about like people voting for the less, you know, the less evil or
lesser
whatever it
of
is.
two evil, the lesser of two evil.
And that I get how that's unpalatable, but it at the same time, what's the alternative? Just sitting on the sides complaining while everyone else chooses the direction of your country? I don't agree with that.
You believe that elections matter.
Yes, I do.
And that's the biggest difference between you and I. I don't believe that they do.
Well,
they are selected. They are not elected. Mark Carney was not elected. He was chosen. He was selected to be the leader of the Liberal Party. They literally canceled 180,000 liberal votes. And then he lied his way into an election. Now, do I believe he won it? I don't. But would it surprise me if I believe that elections were fair, that every vote matters, and the last election showed us that they didn't? Election Canada in the riding of Terrebonne decided not to vote, not even though they made the mistake, they decided not to count every vote because it would have caused another by-election in that riding. So Election Canada has shown us that they don't care. So what do they do? If they're able to do that in front of us, in our face, and admit to that in court, what the fuck do you think they do when they don't get caught? What do you think they do behind closed doors? If they're ready to do it into our face. So the last election proved to me that elections in Canada are corrupt. They do not count. People are selected. So that's the thing, right? I cannot go out there and start saying that elections are selected. They don't count anymore because nobody will swallow that pill. I need to make sure that people realize small bits and small bits at a time, that there is a problem, and that it doesn't matter if you choose the left wing of the bird or you choose the right wing of the bird. They all work for the same people, and those people are not us. They don't represent us. They represent themselves and global bureaucrats that are unelected. It does not matter. If you start looking at who they vote, look at all the bills that pass and see what they vote. It will tell you. You know, Hot Wheels in the US said it. Always look at the results of the bill votes. And every time the two parties are together when they shouldn't be, that tells you something. You think that it was a surprise that Pierre Poilievre voted against the Bloc's amendment in favor of the budget? No, it wasn't. Yet, the Conservatives are defending him, which makes no sense to me. I don't understand how people can back a guy that clearly is trying to keep Carney in power.
Well, I mean, let's see how they still haven't voted on the main bill yet, so let's see how that goes.
17th.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. If he intended to bring it down, that probably would have been the time to do it. You know, it like, I don't know. So as Trevor says,
let me just hold on before you take that. Let me just address something that you said. I'm not on the sideline trying to just complain and bitch out. I speak to experts literally every day, trying to figure out what is the way that we get out of this. Because I don't think we can vote our way out of the crap that we're in. So how do you change the system without violence? Because if it becomes violent, we're going to get crushed. Violence is not an option. So how do you change a system like the one that we're in right now without violence? If you believe, like me, that we cannot vote ourselves out of the mess in which we are right now. So how do we change that? I speak to experts every day trying to find a solution, and I've been doing it for a while. There's no easy solutions out there. Not only do we need a solution, but we need to put people together that will praise that solution to the people. So that's the thing. This is not easy, man. We live in a system that was made to keep us under control. And how do you reverse a system without being violent in the favor of the people? How do you bring it back to a point where the government is scared of the people and the people are not scared of their government? I was just talking with the executive head of the of advocate freedoms. There's a similar group to the JCCF, but they're more Christian. They take on more faith-based issues, like freedom of religion is a lot of the work that they do. He thinks that it's through the justice system. He thinks that we can take over, reclaim our government by putting good people in parliament that are faith-based and by attacking the government through the judiciary. That's what he thinks. So I talk to those people all the time, and unfortunately, there's not one easy solution. It's a matter of putting a bunch of people together to go at it from multiple angles. But that solution is not easy, man. It is a hard fucking solution. I've been trying to wrap my mind around it for years now.
I mean, I think going through the courts is definitely one way, but I definitely think you can vote your way out of it. It's just you have to elect the right people. Even the guy you were just talking about there, he's saying you got to put good men in parliament. That's him saying you can vote your way out of it.
That's what he believes. Yeah, 100%. That's what he believes. Yes.
You know, it's. I don't know. I do think it's funny because I'm not on the right, or at least I don't consider myself that. Although I definitely am much more common with the right wing these days than the left, and so I'm kind of like almost a newcomer. I almost feel like the outsider at the party. And one, I don't know. I don't even mean people in this chat or you or anything, but one vibe that I get from the right overall is an almost fatalistic worldview. This idea that. And I think the right's just been used to losing culturally, being on the losing side of culture issues for the last 20 years, that they sort of have this feeling baked in, like there's no, like it's nothing's ever going to fix it, and there's nothing we can do. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's just the fact of the matter is it's been mostly liberal and left-leaning politicians who have been elected all over the West for the last 20 years. That's why the left has been able to put their culture war issues into the legislative agenda. That can go the other way, and I think you're going to see it. But the right has to organize, and the right has to elect people who are going to put that agenda in place. The Pierre Poilievre that we saw in this interview today, if that was him every day and had been him every day for the last couple of years, things could look very, very different right now.
The reason a lot of people on the right have a fatalistic view is not because we've been losing for 20 years. It has nothing to do with it. We understand we've been on the receiving end of the power of the government. That's why. We understand what the government is ready to do in order to crush dissent, which is not something that the left has experienced at all. So it's not a culture thing. It's not about losing culture. I can give two shits about culture, and that the right is not represented in culture. Couldn't give two shits about that. The problem is that if you are on the more conservative side, you realize that, and you have an opinion, you realize that the government is ready to crush dissent.
But that's because the left has been electing the government for the last 20 years. The right can now, and they've been electing it because
they haven't. We had 10 years of Harper before, so it's not 20 years, it's just 10 years.
Yeah,
but the point,
but even
Harper was
really a hard right conservative. He's
Harper opened the door to mass immigration. It's because of him that Trudeau was able to take advantage of it.
We're left-wing coded.
Still are today. But it's not even a political. The thing is what you consider a conservative, it's not even a right versus left. It's just the fact that I'm more aware, and people on the right, they're considered rightists, are more aware of the consequences of speech, the consequences to our actions. So it shouldn't be, how many times have we said this? It shouldn't be a political issue at all. Free speech and freedom of speech, freedom of religion should not be something that is coded in politics. That should just be us understanding in living in the same society that we agree that freedom of speech is the most important thing that we have, and the government has no right to step on it. Yep. This is not the liberals used to believe in free speech.
Oh yeah.
So it's not a political thing. Like maybe 30 years ago, I would have been a classical liberal. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not a political thing, but we have a fatalistic view because I strongly believe that there is a line in the sand that if we cross, I don't know that we can come back from. That's the problem. And I see all the comments, by the way, I see all of the comments out there that are saying, Bob and Bumpy saying, you should do this, you should do that, but you're clearly not listening to what I'm saying. I'm telling you that we cannot vote our way out of this. So why the fuck would I go into Parliament if I believe that we can't vote ourselves out of this? Do you not understand the irony here? That's the point. And you don't have to believe what I believe. That's fine. That's the whole point of this show. But there's nobody right now, even right now, if you believe that we can vote ourselves out of the mess in which we find ourselves in. Let's play devil's advocate for a second. Let's say that I believe that. Who are you going to vote for? Who do you honestly believe right now? Because I can start running tomorrow, but you do know that in order to become a leader for the Conservative Party is going to cost me about 200 grand, 250 grand. Election Canada has basically made it impossible for a new party to be started. So what am I supposed to do? If I want to run in politics, that means I need to align myself with one of the existing parties. The NDP has no power. The Green has no power. It's between the Liberals and the Conservatives. Obviously, I would never run as a Liberal. So the Conservatives is my only option. For me to become the leader of the Conservative, it would become, I think it's 200 to 250. 200 to 250 grand that it costs to just enter the fucking race, to be even considered to become the leader. So the system is not meant for commoners like you and I, and I'm saying you as in everybody in there, to become leaders. The illusion is there, but how do you fight a system like that? And I have not wrapped my head around it yet. I don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, there's more. Honestly, I think there's, if you're talking about you specifically, I think you'd have a more chance of being effective and making change just by doing what we're doing and building a following and getting the words out there than becoming, getting. First of all,
but what do you think I do every single?
That's
but what do you think I do every day?
Party politics, right? Like you don't just go in and become the leader.
No, but what do you think I do every day? Talking about this shit is the only way that I know how to try to have those conversations with people every single day. And every single time I have that conversation, every single time I'm challenged like the people in the comments, I get better at trying to understand, at putting it into words. And that will bug me tomorrow. And I'm going to have to think about this more and more and more and more. So that's the only way I found to put the word out there, is to do what I do every single fucking day, like I've been doing for years now. I don't know what else to do. That's the power that I have at this point right now. Is that going to change? Who the fuck knows? But that's all I have right now. And unlike, that's one of the things I want to mention for the comments too. Don't think that what we do, or at least I'm not going to speak for Rob, but don't think that what I do is easy. Me doing this every day, I literally gave up a career where I made a shit ton of fucking money. So don't believe that doing what we do is easy. Because if it is and you're not happy, I'll give you the same fucking advice you're giving me. Shut the fuck up and go do it yourself. And yes, Bumpy, I'm talking to you. So if you're not happy and you think you can do better, or I should stop complaining and do something else, brother, amen. Okay, cool, awesome. Stop complaining in the comments and do the same. I'm just saying it's very easy to give people advice and not taking those advices yourself. But I am trying to figure out how the fuck do we get out of the mess that we are in when you don't believe that the voting, or at least not short term, let's say that I agree with you and it takes 10 years, 20 years to have a leader that we can believe in. What the fuck do we do then? Do we wait 10 years? We don't have 10 years, man. We don't. We don't have 10 years to wait.
I feel like, for me, I think incremental change is the way you go. Like, to me, it's obvious that Poilievre is better than Carney. So I put my energy behind, or at least I'd go and vote for Carney, or Poilievre. And then if someone comes along, like Poilievre, one thing about a career politician is they don't have any principles really. Which in some ways is not what you want a leader, but in other ways means they can be pushed. They can be pushed in certain directions. And this interview that he gave today that we saw, to me, it suggests he got a shove somewhere in the right direction. I don't think Is he got to fix everything right away? No. But he's not going to do the worst things that Carney is trying to do. He's certainly not going to put any of those bills, C2, C9, C63, all the other ones there. He's not going to put those through. He's not going to put hate speech bills through. He's going to at least nominally crack down on immigration or illegal immigration. He seems like he understands that it's important to exploit our natural resources, push through pipelines over Indigenous and provincial objections, because that's what it's going to take. There's not going to be any partnerships with the provinces and the Indigenous on this. You're going to have to steamroll them.
He's the lesser of two evils, like you said earlier. He is the lesser of two evils, and I've said this from the get-go. He is not going to make Canada better, but a guy like him would probably stop the bleeding.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, if you've been stabbed, it'd be great to be fully healed, but first you got to stop the bleeding before you can heal. That's how I see it. He is
just not. I don't see the guy that is going to change Canada back to what it used to be in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. I want that guy. I want that guy that will bring it back, that believes in what Canada used to be back then, 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Well, yeah, and I hear what you're saying. And no, he's not going to do that. Now, maybe the guy after him might. I don't know. But what I would say, whatever you feel about Barack Obama, he was an excellent orator, and there were some things that he said that are very quotable. And one famous quote he had, he said, "Don't let perfect be the enemy of good." And I think that's how you got to look at it. Like, yes, is anyone perfect right now? Absolutely not. But there's definitely a better and a worse. And to me, it's just a no-brainer. You go for the better until someone better comes along. Maybe try to influence the better. We have a show. To me, that's a platform. And we kind of laugh, kind of joke, but it's not. There's a chance we actually might be pushing this guy in a certain. Maybe not me and you personally on this show, but just getting ideas out there. And once it hits the internet and social media, ideas take on a life of their own. And sometimes, maybe something starts on a show like ours and it just gets repeated by enough people on social media, and then Poilievre hears it, and there's actual tangible ways that just doing what we're doing can affect real change.
But of course it can. I reach millions and millions and millions of people every single month with my fucking content. I have videos from this fucking show that went viral many fucking times. We've had some big names approach us because we were talking about them on the show. So of course people are listening. I wouldn't be doing this if I did not believe that it could make a change, that it could at least help. Why the fuck would I waste my time doing this if I did not believe to my core that we can make a difference? I wouldn't do it. So of course it can make a difference. Of course it can. There's no doubt. I just wonder if it's always the same question, right? One, I have faith. I have faith that everything that's happening is happening for a reason, no matter what. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. That there's no doubt. If there's two certainties right now, I know that what's happening is supposed to happen. I have faith that it is supposed to happen. And two, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better anytime soon. It's going to get worse before it gets better. People are not hurting enough to understand how bad of a situation we find ourselves in right now. And I'm talking about Canada, obviously. So, but I have faith, man. I have faith at the end of the day, man. This is life. I'm going to die and I'm going to go to a better place afterwards. So this is all a testing period, and let's see what happens. Life's not supposed to be easy no matter what. So no problem. I have faith. It's all good. Yeah. We just need to thank Stu. Thank you for the tip once again.
Thanks for that, Stu.
The court, and Stu, I agree. The court worked well for the ostriches. Isn't going to work. That's a conversation I was having with Randy on the show about an hour ago. And as much as I agree with you, as much as I think that our justice system is too corrupt at where it is right now, all the judges, like we talk about the judge's decision all the time, they're so woke, it makes no fucking sense how they can even be judges. But do we really have anything to lose to have guys like Randy with his organization that is trying to hammer the government on constitutional law, that is trying to revoke the new laws that are being put in place and fight the government in their own court? We don't. Like
No,
what
of
Jeff
course not.
Evely did
No.
by getting that $28,000 ticket. He did it on purpose, knowing that he already had the team. He knew he could go to the JCCF and just say, guys, I just got clipped with 28-ish, let's call it $28,000 fine. He did it on purpose, put it on social media, went fucking viral, because the last time he was in court, they told him that he didn't have any charges. Like, it didn't cost him anything.
Yep.
So they dismissed his case. But now it's going to need to go to court, and that's what Jeff wants. He wants to be able to go in front of the court and say, this is what happened. I want to make you look stupid. And if you look at some books out there, like Blueprint for a Revolution, great book, by the way, the guy explains that one of the best things you can do is to make fun of your government, turn them into a meme. And having a Jeff Evely go into court as a smartass as he is, he's a well-spoken guy and he's a smartass. To explain to the court that he could go to the edge of the bushes, but he couldn't go into the bushes because this was somehow dangerous. He could cause a fire. It's not going to be hard for them to show how stupid that government law was.
Oh yeah. No,
So
I mean,
of course but you want guys like that. They're doing that. You want guys
Yes,
like
of
Randy.
course.
They're gonna defend those guys in court. So
Yeah,
I understand we have to attack it from all different ways. I just don't know, as a person myself, how the fuck do I help change the mind of Canadians more than what I do right now? This is what I don't know. I don't know yet.
Yeah. I mean, I think, regardless of what you think your chances are in the courts, I mean, even if you think you're going to lose or know you're going to lose, like, it's still worth it to go through with it. Just if only just to get an unfair and obviously biased decision on the record, and then you can use that as you can use that to try to convince people. Like, minds change, people change. Sometimes people don't see it the first 95 times, but not on number 96, it changes. That, like, again, it kind of. I think there's a tendency to feel sometimes like, oh, people will never change. Some people will never change, but a lot of people, most people their minds can be changed. It's just sometimes it takes 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and just something snaps. We all have that tipping point, and that's why you never want to give up. You never want to just say, I think the real tragedy would be if you just say, oh, fuck it, what's the point? We're going to lose anyways. That's when you really, you've given up hope. And I think that's when things are going to be in a really, 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 really bad spot when people aren't even trying to change the system.
Well said. I can agree on that. That's always a problem when people are not trying anymore.
Yeah. Well, we got
that was not left. That is not the conversation I thought we would be in, but hey, this is how the show goes, right?
Yep.
Perfect. This is the perfect segue for the sponsor of the show. So tonight's episode of the Political Orphans is brought to you by Gabble, the world's first live video debate app on the market. You can choose to sit back and watch, or if you have the balls, you can jump in and debate others. Like us, Gabble is about civil discourse. Check the description below. You're going to find our affiliate link. And yes, the more you guys download, the more people download, the more we get paid. But I highly suggest that you go try it. It looks like literally like what we do here, except you get to do it on your phone. I can't wait to jump on the platform. I was supposed to go on today. I did not have the time, but I think this is going to be an addiction. But debating people 3 minutes at a time on trending topics. Yep, that's going to be. It could be fun. I haven't started debating, but I'm looking forward to it because that's going to be fucking hilarious. I love to debate. So,
yeah.
If you have some comments you want to take, because the comments were just like racking and racking.
Jeannie Lewis says, great podcast, guys. I appreciate that, Jeannie. Trevor Benson says, the thing is, we think we are on a level playing field. No, yeah, I mean, and it's never going to be perfectly, level. Well, what's that clip I think we played? You know that guy, his name's like Jocko something. He's like, like a life coach. I think he's an ex-Navy SEAL. He's on Rogan a lot.
Yeah.
But he has
that
famous clip. I see it a bunch of times where it's just the punchline is good, right? And he's talking about something like, one of my guys comes to me and they say, "Hey boss, we got a problem. This happened." He says, "Good." I always say good. More time to sort it out. Or, you didn't get that promotion at work. Good. More time to improve yourself. You didn't you didn't get that girl. Good. More time to work on yourself, more time in the gym, that kind of stuff, the attitude. And I really like that. And so, I think, yes, of course it's not a level playing field, but you gotta, is that him there? Yeah.
Joko Willings. I have a few of his books. They're not bad, actually. They're not bad.
No. He definitely knows his shit. And I mean that's the way you got to be. Like, he obviously has a background. He's a former soldier, but you got to bring that attitude to especially to politics. It's just again, one example I use a lot is the French Revolution. As far as like baked in interests that seemed like these, like if you were a French peasant in the 1600s, I'm guaranteed, even like only a year or two before the revolution, I guarantee you, it seemed like the French crown, the French king would never fall. That tyranny and that oppression, it's just way too powerful until it did. You know what I mean? Like, things change. That's the only thing that stays the same in life is that things change.
But that's a bad example to use because they had to kill the king. That's when the guillotine. So this is why I'm talking violence. I was saying that in the last episode with Randy. I was saying I'm trying to find an alternative to the guillotine.
Yeah.
But that's it. I understand what you're saying, but they had to kill the king in order to have their revolution. That was still the tipping point, is that the king had to die.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's not forget that part.
As Bumpy and Jim say, Jocko Willink.
Yeah. He's a bro. But what's interesting about his book, though, at least the Extreme Ownership, the one, I have a couple of them, but that one especially, he wasn't just a soldier. He was actually an officer in charge. He was on the battlefield, but then he also led men. Like, he talks about leadership as in how to organize people. And you're talking about a hard man. He was not that dude's not a pussy. Like, you're talking about a guy that organized Navy SEALs. So not only was he a Navy SEAL, but he also was in charge of Navy SEALs. So it's cool to hear his way and how this can be applicable to regular life, not just the military life.
I agree. Sheridan Forbes says, hit the like button, folks, for more great content and moments. Thanks for that, Sheridan, for that reminder. Guys, you definitely do want to hit that like button. That helps support the show, helps us with the algorithm. And if you really want to support the show, don't forget to become a member. You can do that through YouTube for the low price of $2.99 per month. Was there any, do we just want to take comments the last 10 minutes, or do you got another topic?
Oh, yeah. Well, there was one. Let's take the other one that at least is in the title of the show, so that I feel that I actually did not just go on a fucking rant for 45 minutes. This one is just what the fuck. You're gonna like that one. So this was the official Toronto Remembrance Day ceremony, and it started with a land acknowledgement and a little to the black people that were brought here for slavery.
Okay. All right.
Oh, hold on. I thought my screen was sharing. Baboom. Come on. There we go.
Philip, and I'm the City's Chief of Protocol. I wish to invite cadets. I now wish to invite cadets Flight Sergeant Minyalov and Warrant Officer 2nd Class Rainford to share the land and ancestral acknowledgement with us.
Ancestral acknowledgement, that's what it is.
The fact that they're getting military members to do this is just like forcing a guy to watch his wife get fucked.
The land
just
we are meeting
a
on
humiliation.
as a traditional territory of many nations.
Listen to this.
We acknowledge the land we are meeting on as a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit. We also acknowledge the Williams Treaties, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands.
We acknowledge all treaty peoples, including those who came here as settlers, as migrants, either in this generation or in generations past, and those who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery.
What the fuck does Canada have? That has nothing to do with Canada. That's so ridiculous. Jesus Christ.
That was the official Toronto Remembrance ceremony. Not just like a side where people are just talking shit. No. This was the official Remembrance Day ceremony in Toronto.
That's garbage.
Land acknowledgement. They land. Shouldn't it be about the veterans? Just saying, right? Yeah. I thought that was the whole point.
It's bullshit anywhere. It has no place in government anywhere, but especially on a Remembrance Day parade. That's the absolute worst of the worst. That's crazy. As Trevor says, that's very extremist to say that, Rob. Yeah. I mean,
what's that?
Trevor saying it's very extremist to say that.
But what is?
To say
what is extremist?
Land acknowledgements are bullshit.
Oh yeah. They are.
But it is officially in public. Yeah, it is an extremist belief. But if more people start pushing back against it, it won't be for long. Because very few people actually believe in this shit. As Gary says, it's a humiliation ritual. It absolutely is. It's funny because they and they called our ancestors settlers, right? Which of course is a derogatory term. Colonizers. They love immigrants as long as they're coming now. But if they were, immigrants like our ancestors 400 years ago, no, they hate those ones.
Not white people from Christians, from Christian Europe. Backgrounds.
That's right.
No. Those are colonizers.
Yeah, exactly.
But the Muslims that are coming here that preach
they're cultural enrichers. They're not colonizers. They're
cultural enrichers. Damn, so cultural enrichers. Never heard that one before. That's a great one, man. God damn.
Yeah. As well says, or another hot day in Kamloops over the reconciliation shit. Yeah, so Kamloops is the next battleground on this Cowican or Cowichan thing. There's one of the tribes has laid claim to all of Kamloops, which is this is wild, man.
But it's gonna happen everywhere, right? They were mentioning it. I think somebody in the comment section was mentioning it last week or the week before. 8,000 square miles in Quebec. 8,000 square kilometers. Sorry, 8,000 square kilometers. This is not just a small city here. This is a fucking massive piece of land. Right on the Gatineau River, prime location.
Fuck yeah. Oh yeah.
This is ours. Of course it is.
No, man, if they were smart, they'd be like, okay, guys, we got a golden goose here. Let's not overplay our hand. And then someone in the back's like, take Gatineau. And they're like, fuck yeah. These guys.
And it was Jean-Guy, remember? Yeah. The chief was Jean. His name was Jean-Guy. And I'm darker than he is.
What was his Indian name? It was White Feather or something like that.
White bitch. Yeah, White Feather, yeah.
Something had white in it.
Yes. Okay, now I gotta find it.
Find it. As Stu says, every piece of land in the world is essentially a city. Yeah, that's how the world worked. 405 years ago, countries traveled around the world and they took places by force. And if they were strong enough than the local people or the other people there that they were taking, then they took it from them and it was theirs. That's how it works. We can't go back in time and rearrange that. No, people aren't doing that today. No, Canada's not going around colonizing other lands today. But what about the Palestinians? They're colonizers and the Arabs in Palestine. But you'll never hear these same people say anything about that kind of colonization.
So I found it right here. I have it. This is fucking hilarious. The name of the guy is Chief Jean-Guy White Duck.
White Duck.
And the picture, they updated the picture on the CTV article.
Oh my Jesus Christ! This is the name. This is the indigenous person taking your property, taking your land, folks, taking your homes. I would be absolutely fucking furious.
I guarantee you that he's not even able to pronounce the name of his First Nation.
No, because
Kitigan Zibi Hashandabagek. Yes, he can't. He fucking can't.
He's just a fucking white guy, man.
His name is Jean-Guy. You cannot be more white. No. It's like John Smith. Like Jean-Guy is the equivalent of John Smith. That's the same thing for a Frenchie.
Yeah,
Jean-Guy.
It's like the most basic of French names, right?
Look at the color of my skin. There's no sun right now. I'm fucking darker than this guy. And he's the native guy? Fuck.
He's got that pinkish hue. He's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. I almost feel like that's on purpose too. That's the added to the humiliation ritual, just so that we know that it actually has nothing. It's all nonsense. We're not even gonna have an indigenous guy take your land, your home from you. It's just gonna be a fucking white guy.
Hold on, there was a good one from Sylvie. Yeah, that's exactly it. Jean-Guy Canard Blanc. That's the translation of the white duck. Like le Canard Blanc. That pretty much says it. So Jean-Guy, the white guy, is basically his Indian name. And he wants 8,000 kilometers? 8,000 square kilometers of land on the Gatineau River, on the shores of the Gatineau River, near Maniwaki, Quebec. So I know exactly. I used to have friends that were in Maniwaki, so I know exactly where the fuck it is. Yeah. Bro, you're talking about some of the nicest fucking place in Quebec. No,
they're going all in. This is a land fucking grab, man. There's no moderation whatsoever, and it's going to be their undoing, right? I think if they had just. I think because, both the Cowhegan judgment, the one in Kamloops too, those have been going on for like 10 years. Like, they've been playing the slow game, playing the long game, and that's why it's been effective. They've been able to keep it under the radar. But now I think if they're just all doing a land grab now, the media is going to have to, I don't know, is the mainstream media even touching it yet? They will at some point. It's too big of a story. But
I don't know, but this was CTV News. The article I just showed you was on CTV News, so they're talking about it.
It's being covered, yeah.
But they're not raising the alarm. They're not making it sound. The thing is, and that's where mainstream media is not touching, is that they're going to talk about the story that they're going after Richmond, BC, Kamloops, 8,000 square kilometers in Quebec. They're not saying that it's not happening. They're not admitting, though, what it actually means. That means that Canadians don't have property rights. That's what it means. If the government is able to come after your private property under the guise of land acknowledgement and virtue signaling, that means you have no property rights. That's what those judgments, that's what it means, that the government can take your shit legally whenever the fuck they want.
And that's what, the rule of law in Western society is based on, is property rights is at the core of it. It's a fundamental piece of the rule of law in the West. So when that goes away, the whole system collapses. Cat in the Hat says El Blanco. Yeah.
If that guy, if Jean-Guy was a native from South America, he would be Guillermo El Blanco. That would be his name. That would be the dude. Like, it's the fucking dumbest thing ever. But I agree, man. And it's conquered land. That's all it is. Yeah. Every single piece of land in the world is fucking conquered land. It belonged to somebody else. And there's there's a bunch of dudes one day that showed up and said, we want that land. No, let's fight.
Yep. And if you win, you take it. That's you don't have to like it, but that's the way the world worked back then. And there's no point in turning back the clock. And trying to say, oh, no, okay, well, we're going to give the losers the land back, because then you got to give the entire world away, because the entire world is based on that. As Wolf says, not a nice thing to say, but the First Nation were lucky it was it was not the Spanish that took over here. Yeah, because they wouldn't be here to do land grabs. That's why there's no Incas or Aztecs left, because the Spanish wiped them the fuck out. They didn't fuck around. And it's funny because the Spanish then colonized South America, and those people, you know, in the colonizer discourse, they never talk about South Americans, Mexicans, you know, people from South America. They're somehow spoken about like they're indigenous or something, but motherfucker, those are colonizers too. It's just the Spanish that colonized. So it's really just about hatred of white colonizers. Like I said, all of woke left is just self-hatred. Anything to do with you, like if you're in the West, if you're from Canada, if you're from the United States, from Britain, Australia, everything to do with you and your ancestors, you hate, and that's all it is.
If you're white, let's be honest. It's if you're white, or yes. if you're white or white enough, you're the problem. But are you saying that South America did not speak Spanish thousands of years ago?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the indigenous language.
What?
That's the indigenous language.
No, exactly. Stop lying, Rob. Stop it. Stop it. You're a liar.
Right, guys, we're gonna put a pin in there for the night. Actually, it's Thursday, right? So it's our last show of the week. So we will
until Sunday
on Sunday. Excellent show, guys. Lots of comments, lots of debate, discussion. You know, I think this is another episode that shows what's different and special about this show, and what everyone brings to the table here, guys. If you want to support the show, you can help do that by becoming a member. You can do that through YouTube. And other than that, have an excellent weekend. We will catch you on Sunday night. Is there a mashup Saturday? Mel G says.
Yes, we do have a mashup tomorrow.
All right,
not tomorrow. Saturday.
And
yes,
Sunday night we will be back. Regular time, regular channel. Peace.